To demonstrate the modern JavaScript features, I'm going to use a brand new React project. So in this project, let's open up index.js and delete all the code here and focus on plain vanilla JavaScript. So the first thing we're going to look at are the new keywords for defining variables and constants. So let's define a function, call it say hello. Here I'm going to define a loop. So for var I, we set this to 0. As long as it's less than 5, we increment I and log it on the console. Pretty simple, right? Let's call this function, save the changes, back in the browser. So here we see these numbers 0 to 4, pretty straightforward. However, there is a problem with the var keyword in JavaScript. In most programming languages, when we declare a variable, that variable should only be accessible in the block in which it's defined. This is what we call scope, right? So in this case, I should only be accessible inside of the for block. However, I can come here and log I on the console, and you will see that I is still accessible here. Save the changes, back in the browser. Look, we've got I displayed here because in the last iteration, I becomes 5, and because 5 is not less than 5, we exit this loop. So this is what I want you to take away. When you declare a variable with a var keyword, that variable is accessible inside of the function in which it's defined. And this is one of those weird things about JavaScript that is different from other programming languages. So in ECMAScript 6 or ES6, which is the version of JavaScript introduced in year 2015, we got a new keyword for declaring variables, and that is let. So let came to solve this problem. When you declare a variable with the let keyword, that variable is only accessible inside of that block. Let's see the result. So save the changes, back in the browser. Now we get this error on the console. I is not defined. So here's what I want you to take away. Variables declared with the var keyword are scoped to the function, whereas variables declared with the let keyword are scoped to the block in which they are defined. So going forward, you should prefer to use the let keyword unless you have a very valid reason for using the var keyword. Now we also have another new keyword in ES6, and that is const. We use const to define constants. I'm going to show you that in a second. But similar to let, variables defined with const are also block scoped. So they're only accessible inside of the block they're defined. Now let me show you the difference between let and const. So I'm going to delete all this code here. Let's define a variable with const, set it to 1. Now if we reassign this and save the changes, back in the browser, you can see that X is read-only. In other words, when you declare a variable with the const keyword, that variable cannot be reassigned. That's why we refer to that as a constant. So technically, it's not a variable because it cannot change. It's a constant. So let's quickly wrap up. Throw away the var keyword and prefer to use const over let. Use let only when you need to reassign a variable.